Is that 3 or 4? It's 4.
Shalom, shalom, Shabbat shalom. Happy Feast of Tabernacles. Thank you, brothers and sisters, for participating. As you can see, we're under the booth, makeshift, to resemble what our ancestors did when they left out of Egypt and stayed and wandered the wilderness for 40 years. How we would dwell in booths made out of tree limbs, branches, boughs, palm trees, pine trees, for shelter for our animals and also for ourselves. We understand that the Feast of Tabernacles is a very important holy convocation. It marks our passage out of slavery. Okay? And we see with the chain of events happening now, it's only fitting that we resemble this holy convocation on the 7th month, as well as the memorial blowing of the trumpet, as well as the Day of Atonement. And we are in the 6th day of the Feast of Tabernacles, going into the 7th at sundown. So, the Most High delivered us out of Egypt. As you know, when you read in the book of Exodus, Exodus 12, he had us traveling by a pillar of cloud by day and a pillar of cloud by fire at night. Wherever this pillar of cloud would stop, we would pitch our camp there, making these booths as you see us resembling today. So this is the reminder of the covenant that the Most High made with us, that we must practice repentance, obedience, returning back to Yahweh, Yahawashi, and gathering with our nation, Yasharahla, and to prepare for these last days that have been prophesied in the Holy Bible. This is all about preparation. It's all about make ye ready for the battle. And the battle we're talking about is about our salvation through Yahawashi HaMashiach by the power of Yahweh. Deuteronomy, the first.
So for this Feast of Booths, we're in a booth. I wouldn't call it makeshift. It has 4 posts. The posts are secured, and it has pine beams, what they call rough cut pine beams at the top, and the thick pine branches along the sides and diagonally for the Chag HaSakwaf, the Feast of Booths. And Yahweh commanded us to read the law of the book of Deuteronomy every 7 years. And Moses told us that this is what we need to do as the prophet of Yahweh and the voice of Yahweh. Okay, so when we look at the Feast of Booths, the 7th year of his lease was when we would get together in Jerusalem and read it. But in our captivities, we really should be reading it every year because we don't have a centralized location to get together to study and to pray and to offer up the convocations to Yahweh. All right, so we really are far behind schedule. So, be that as it may, you know, we're going to start in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 1, and go all the way to Deuteronomy chapter 34, because this is what Yahweh said he wanted us to do. And this is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to read. All right, so that's the explanation of what we're doing, and that's the explanation of why we're doing it. And you're going to be able to read it, I think, when we get to chapter 4. It'll tell us exactly. And then when you get into chapter 32, it'll tell us exactly again what we're supposed to be doing and how we're supposed to be doing it. Getting this ready today has been a long time coming, you know, but Yahweh allowed us to make it, all right, and to get it done the right way. So this was planned out. If you got your Masharah Yasharahla Torah schedule, all right, you'll see that your Torah schedule. You'll see that today, this Shabbat, is supposed to be when you read the whole law from the book of Deuteronomy, okay? So as a real quick, when you go into the book of, and I'll show why we're doing it this way. When we go into the book of Deuteronomy, it says, and Ezra blessed Yahweh, and all the people said, Amen, right? And verse 8 says, so they read in the book of the law, and gave the sense, and caused them to understand the reading. All right? So they read in the book of the law, and then they gave the people the understanding. All right? So Zaquan Nathaniela is going to read it, and then I'm going to give the sense of it, the understanding of those things that aren't clear. This isn't going to be a normal, you know, weekly commentary type of situation where the verse is read and then you get like an hour-long explanation of those verses. No, he's going to read it. It's going to be cut, short. You're going to read it, bring the understanding, and we're going to move on to the next verse. Okay?
Deuteronomy, the first chapter, starting from the first verse. These be the words which Masharah spake unto all Yasharahla on this side Jordan in the wilderness, in the plain over against the Reed Sea, between Paran and Tophah and Laban, Tophel and Laban, and Hesroth and Dasahab. These are 11 days' journey from Horeb by the way of Mount Sinai, Mount Seir, unto Kadesh Barnea. And it came to pass in the 40th year, 11th month, on the first day of the month, that Masharah spake unto the children of Yasharahla, according unto all that Yahweh had given him in commandment unto them. After he had slain Sihon, the king of the Amorites, which dwelled in Heshbon, and Og, the king of Bashan, which dwelled at Astroth in Edrei. On this side Jordan, in the land of Moab, began Masharah to declare this law, saying, Yahweh our Elohim spake unto us in Horeb, saying, Ye have dwelled long enough in this mount. turn you and take your journey and go to the mount of the Amorites, and unto all the plains nigh thereunto, in the plain, in the hills, and in the vale, and in the south, and by the seaside, to the land of the Canaanites, unto Lebanon, unto the great river, the river Euphrates. Behold, I have set the land before you. Go in and possess the land which Yahweh sware unto your fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, to give unto them and to their seed after them. And I spake unto you at that time, saying, I am not able to bear you myself alone. Yahweh your Elohim has multiplied you, and behold, ye are this day as the stars of heaven for multitude. Yahweh Elohim of your fathers make you 1,000 times so many more as ye are, and blessed you as he had promised you.
So Yahweh did multiply us. The population of our people across the world today, in all of the continents, throughout the diaspora of the exiles and the captivities, is approximately 360 million people.
Verse 12, how can I myself alone bear your cumbrance and your burden and your strife? Take you wise men in understanding, and know among your tribes, and I will make them rulers over you.
So Yasharahla had rulers. So if you're thinking in 2021 that no man can rule over you, then you actually got a spirit of pride on you, and you're against the commandments that the Most High has given us. Because men rule over other men. That's what the scripture just said. And this is a one-time deal. We're going to read what it said, explain it. You can take it or leave it. It is what it is.
Verse 14, and ye answered me and said, the thing which thou hast spoken is good for us to do. So I took it.
So our Father said that this was good to do. So if we say it's good to do, you can't go against your fathers now and say, well, it's not good. What's it being based upon? It's being based upon wise men that knew the Torah. So if you have a man that doesn't know the Torah, that's not living, walking in, and teaching the Torah, no, you shouldn't have him over you as your ruler, or as your camp leader, or as your elder, as your captain, as your soldier. You shouldn't. Only those men that are walking in, living, and teaching the Torah.
So I took the chief of your tribes, wise men and known, and made them heads over you, captains over thousands, and captains over hundreds, and captains over 50s, and captains over 10s, and officers among your tribes.
See, we were divided by tribes, so you got to get with your tribe and learn who is the captain over your tribe, not just your camp or your community or your organization. We can do those things, but the tribal union of Israel is important. And we had captains in the chain of command, 10, 50, 100, thousands. It's supposed to be that way to today. Not just every man doing what he wants to do, and nobody can tell him what to do.
And I charged your judges at that time, saying, hear the causes between your brethren, and judge righteously between every man and his brother, and the stranger that is with them.
The Gentiles that lived among us, that tried to keep the Torah, that came into covenant, when you go into Exodus chapter 19, they were supposed to be judged by the same government body also.
Ye shall not respect persons in judgment, but ye shall hear the small as well as the great. Ye shall not be afraid of the face of man, for the judgment is Yahweh's. And the cause that is too hard for you, bring it unto me, and I will hear it.
So, if it's a small person or a big person, or small issue or a big issue, you're supposed to hear that small person. You're not supposed to issue a judgment against somebody without hearing that person. And as men in government, if you're doing that, you don't deserve to be in government. And men in government, if you think that that's appropriate, you don't deserve to be in government, because you don't know the basic rules of how we're supposed to be ruling over people. A lot of brothers have council meetings. A lot of brothers has conversations about what they're going to do in issuing a judgment for a brother, but that brother's not there. He don't hear what's going on, who's saying what about him. They speaking behind closed doors in private, behind a person's back, casting votes and saying, well, this is what we're going to do about that brother. Well, the Most High said, have no respect to person. Hear everybody, small and the great, and don't be afraid of anybody. Don't be afraid to talk and say what you got to say about the person with them listening and hearing what's going on. Okay?
And I command you at that time all the things which you should do. And when we departed from Horeb, we went through all the great and terrible wilderness, which ye saw by the way of the mountain of the Amorites, as Yahweh Elohim commanded us, and we came to Kadesh Barnea. And I said unto you, ye are come unto the mountain of the Amorites, which Yahweh Elohim do give unto us. Behold, Yahweh thy Elohim has set the land before thee. Go up and possess it, as Yahweh your Elohim of thy father has said unto thee. Fear not, neither be discouraged. And ye come near unto me, every one of you, and said, we will send men before us, and they shall search us out the land, and bring us word again by what way we must go up, and into what cities we shall come. And the saying pleased me well. And I took 12 men of you, one of a tribe, and they turned and went up into the mountain, and came unto the valley of Eshcol, and searched it out. And they took of the fruit of the land in their hands, and brought it down unto us, and brought us word again, and said, it is good land which Yahweh Elohim doeth give us. Notwithstanding, ye would not go up, but rebelled against the commandment of Yahweh your Elohim. Ye murmured in your tents, and said, because Yahweh hated us, he has brought us forth out of the land of Egypt to deliver us into the hand of the Amorites, to destroy us. Whither shall we go up? Our brethren has discouraged our hearts, saying, the people is greater and taller than we. The cities are great and walled up to heaven. And moreover, we have seen the sons of the Anakims there. Then I said unto you, dread not, neither be afraid of them. Yahweh Elohim, which goeth before you, he shall fight for you, according to all that he has did for you in Egypt before your eyes. And in the wilderness, where thou hast seen how that Yahweh thy Elohim bare thee, as a man doeth bear his son, in all the way that ye went, until ye came into this place. Yet in this thing ye do not believe Yahweh your Elohim, who went into the way before you to search you out a place to pitch your tents in fire by night, to show you by what way ye shall go, in a cloud by day. And Yahweh heard the voice of your words and was wroth, and swore, saying, surely there shall not one of these men of this evil generation see that good land which I swear to give unto your fathers, save Caleb, son of Jephunneh. He shall see it, and to him will I give the land that he has trodden upon, and to his children, because he has wholly followed Yahweh. And Yahweh was angry with me for your sake, saying, thou also shalt not go into thither. But Joshua, son of Nun, which standeth before thee, he shall go thither. Encourage him, for he shall cause Yasharahla to inherit it. Moreover, your little ones, which ye said should be a prey, and your children, which in that day had no knowledge between good and evil, they shall go in thither, and unto them will I give it, and they shall possess it. But as for you, turn you, and take your journey into the wilderness by the way of the Reed Sea. Then ye answered and said unto me, we have sinned against Yahweh. We will go up and fight according to all that Yahweh our Elohim commanded us. And when ye have girded on every man his weapons of war, ye were ready to go up into the hill. And Yahweh said unto me, say unto them, go not up, neither fight, for I am not among you, lest ye be smitten before your enemies. So I spake unto you, and ye would not hear. but rebelled against the commandment of Yahweh, and went up presumptuously up into the hill. And the Amorites, which dwelled in that mountain, came out against you, and chased you as bees do, and destroyed you in Seir, even unto Homan. And ye turned and wept before Yahweh, but Yahweh would not hearken to your voice, nor give ear unto you. So ye abode in Kadesh, many days according unto the days that ye abode there. So, when the Most High told the children of Israel about the land that he had promised them, there was murmuring among the people of Israel against the land that the Most High promised to give us, which made the Most High very angry. And he said that this generation would not see this land, with the exception of Joshua and Caleb, because they stood fast in the way of the Most High. They held the charge that was given unto them, and they did the bidding of the Most High without wavering. But then, those that were against going up into this new land decided among themselves that they were going to go up and fight the Amorites. But the Most High told Masharah to tell them that he would not be with them in this fight. But they went anyhow, disobeying the Most High, and they were beaten soundly. All right? Chased them down. All because they would not hearken unto the Most High. All right? So that's Deuteronomy, the 1st chapter. Deuteronomy, the 2nd chapter. So we turned and took our journey into the wilderness by the way of the Red Sea, as Yahweh spake unto me. And we compassed Mount Seir many days. And Yahweh spake unto me, saying, Ye have compassed this mountain long enough. Turn you northward. And commanded thou the people, saying, Ye are to pass through the coast of your brethren, the children of Esau, which dwell in Seir. They shall be afraid of you. Take ye good heed unto yourselves, therefore. Meddle not with them, for I will not give you their land. No, not so much as a foot breadth, because I have given Mount Seir unto Esau for a possession. Ye shall buy meat of them for money, that ye may eat, and ye also shall buy water of them for money, that ye may drink. For Yahweh thy Elohim has blessed thee in all the works of thy hand. He knoweth thy walking through this great wilderness. These 40 years Yahweh thy Elohim has been with thee. Thou hast lacked nothing. And when we passed by from our brethren, the children of Esau, which dwelled in Seir, through the way of the plain of Ethlah, and from Azargaber, we turned and passed by the way of the wilderness of Moab. And Yahweh said unto me, Distress not the Moabites, neither contend with them in battle, for I will not give thee of their land for a possession, because I have given Ar unto the children of Lot for a possession. The Ekmens dwell therein in many times past, a people great and many and tall as the Anakims, which also were accounted giants as the Anakims. But the Moabites called them Eknims. And the Horims also dwelled in Seir before time, but the children of Esau succeeded them, when they had destroyed them from before them, and dwelled in their stay, as Yasharahla did unto the land of his possession, which Yahweh gave unto them. Now rise up, said I, and get you over the brook Zered, and we went over the brook Zered. And the space in which we came from Kadashbanah until we were come over the brook Zered was 38 years, until all the generation of the men of war were wasted out from among the hosts, as Yahweh sware unto them. For indeed the hand of Yahweh was against them to destroy them from among the hosts until they were consumed. So it came to pass, when all the men of war were consumed and dead from among the people, that Yahweh spake unto me, saying, Thou art to pass through Ar, the coast of Moab, this day, and when thou comest nigh over against the children of Ammon, distress them not, nor meddle with them. For I will not give thee of the land of the children of Ammon any possession, because I have given it unto the children of Lot for a possession. That also was accounted a land of giants. The giants dwelled therein in old time, and the Amorites called them Zamzamims. A people great and many and tall as the Anakim. But Yahweh destroyed them before them, and they succeeded them and dwelled in their state. As he did to the children of Esau, which dwelled in Seir, which he destroyed, when he destroyed the Harims from before them, and they succeeded them, and dwelled in their state, even unto this day. And the Harims, which dwelled in Hasrarim, even unto Azrah. The Captorims, which came forth out of Captor, destroyed them and dwelled in their state. Rise ye up, take your journey, and pass over the river Arnon.
Yeah, we're not going to really go into like the specific geographic and genealogical details. The main point in reading this is to give the sense of the Torah, give the understanding of the law, okay?
Behold, I have given into thy hand Sihon, the Amorite, king of Heshbon, and his land. Begin to possess it, and contend with him in battle. This day will I begin to put the dread of thee and the fear of thee upon the nations that are under the whole heaven, who shall hear report of thee, and shall tremble, and be in anguish because of thee. And I send messengers out of the wilderness of Kedemoth unto Sihon, king of Heshbon, with words of peace, saying, Let me pass through thy land. I will go along by the highway. I will neither turn into the right hand nor to the left. Thou shalt sell me meat for money that I may eat, and give me water for money that I may drink. Only I will pass through on my feet.
So what we see right here is when you're in another person's land, you shouldn't go into other people's land if you're able to, expecting to get a handout from those people. That's what we're showing right here, especially when you're just traveling through it. So be prepared when you're traveling to provide for yourself and whoever's traveling with you.
And the children of Esau which dwelled in Seir, and the Moabites which dwell in Ar, did unto me, until I shall pass over Jordan into the land which Yahweh our Elohim giveth us. But Sihon, king of Heshbon, would not let us pass by him. For Yahweh the Elohim hardened his spirit, and made his heart obstinate, that he might deliver him into thy hand, as appeareth this day. And Yahweh said unto me, Behold, I have begun to give Sihon
and also stay upright in the laws of the Most High. All right? Stay upright in the laws of the Most High, because he can make your heart obstinate also. All right? He can make your heart obstinate, so always obey and walk in his commandments. He can make it so that you just don't care no more and you condemn yourself. Verse 31.
And Yahweh said unto me, Behold, I have begun to give Sihon and his land before thee. Begin to possess that thou mayest inherit his land. Then Sihon came out against us, he and all his people, to fight at Zahas. And Yahweh Elohim delivered him before us, and we smote him, and his sons, and all his people. And we took all his cities at that time, and utterly destroyed the men and the women, and the little ones. Of every city we left none to remain. Only the cattle we took for a prey unto ourselves, and the spoil of the cities which we took. From Arar, which is by the bridge, by the brink of the river Anan, and from the city that is by the river, even unto Gilead. There was not one city too strong for us. Yahweh Elohim delivered all unto us. Only unto the land of the children of Ammon thou camest not, nor unto any place by the river Jabok, nor unto the cities in the mountains, nor unto whatsoever Yahweh Elohim forbade us. Deuteronomy chapter 3. Then we turned and went up the way to Bashan. And Og, the king of Bashan, came out against us, he and all his people, to battle at Rear. And Yahweh said unto me, fear him not, for I will deliver him, and all his people, and his land into thy hand. And thou shalt do unto him as thou didst unto Sihon, king of the Amorites, which dwelled at Heshbon. So Yahweh Elohim delivered into our hands Og also, the king of Bashan, and all his people, and we smote him until none was left to him remaining. And we took all his cities at that time. There was not a city which we took not from them. 80 cities, all the region of Abgob, the kingdom of Og, in Bashan. All these cities were fenced with high walls and gates and bars, besides unwalled towns a great many. And we utterly destroyed them, as we did unto Sihon, king of Heshbon, utterly destroying the men, women, and children of every city. But all the cattle and the spoil of the cities we took for a prey to ourselves. And we took at that time out of the hand of the 2 kings of the Amorites the land that was on this side of Jordan, from the river of Anor unto Mount Heman, which Heman the Sidonites called Hermon. Which Haman, the Sidonites, called Siron. All the cities of the plain, which Hermon, the Sidonites,
which Hermon the Sidonians called Sirion, and the Ammonites call it Shinir.
All the cities of the plain, and all Gilead, and all Bashan, unto Salcah and Edrei, cities of the kingdom of Og in Bashan. For only Og, king of Bashan, remained of the remnant of giants. Behold, his bedstead was a was a bedstead of iron. Is it not in Rabbath of the children of Ammon? 9 cubits was the length thereof, and 4 cubits the breadth of it. after the cubit of a man. And this land which was possessed at that time from Adrer, which is by the river Anan, and half Mount Gilead, and the cities thereof, gave I unto the Reubenites and to the Gadites.
The Reubenites are the Miccosukee and the Seminole Indians, and the Gadites are the tribes of the so-called North American Indians.
The rest of Gilead and all Bashan, being the kingdom of Og, gave I unto the half tribe of Manasseh.
Manasseh are the so-called Cubans today.
All the region of Abgab with all Bashan, which was called the land of giants. Jerai, the son of Manasseh, took all the country of Agab unto the coast of Geshurah and Makathi, and called them after his own name,
Bashan Hapath Jair.
Bashan Hapath Jair, unto this day. And I gave Gilead unto Machir, and unto the Reubenites, and unto the Gadites. I gave from Gilead even unto the river Athron, half the valley, and the border even unto the river Jabbok, Jabbok, which is the border of the children of Ammon. The plain also in Jordan, and the coast thereof, Bachinnathria, even unto the sea of the plain, even the salt sea, under Ashtaroth, eastward. And I commanded you at that time, saying, the children of your Elohim has given you this land to possess it. Ye shall pass over armed before your brethren, the children of Yasharahla, all that are meet for the war, but your wives and your little ones and your cattle, for I know that you have much cattle, shall abide in your cities, which I have given you, until Yahweh has given rest unto your brethren, as well as unto you, and until they also possess the land which Yahweh your Elohim has given them beyond Jordan. And then shall ye return every man unto his possession, which I have given you. And I commanded Joshua at that time, saying, thy eyes have seen all that Yahweh your Elohim has done unto these two kings. So shall Yahweh do unto all the kingdoms whither thou passest. Ye shall not fear them, for Yahweh your Elohim, he shall fight for you. And I besought Yahweh at that time, saying, Adunya Yahweh. I besought Adunya Yahweh at that time, saying, O Adunya Yahweh, thou hast begun to show thy servant thy greatness and thy mighty hand. For what Yahweh is there in heaven or in earth that can do according to thy works and according to thy might? I pray thee, let me go over and see the good land that is beyond Jordan, that goodly mountain in Lebanon. But Yahweh was wroth with me for your sakes, and would not hear me. And Yahweh said unto me, let it be suffice thee, speak no more unto me of this matter. Get thee up into the top of Purgash, and lift up thy eyes westward, and northward, and southward, and eastward, and behold it with thy eyes. For thou shalt not go over this Jordan. No, that's cool. That's cool. But charge Joshua, encourage him, and strengthen him. But he shall go over before this people, and he shall cause them to inherit the land which thou shalt see. So we abode in the valley over against Beth Peor. No. It's good. Deuteronomy chapter 4. Now therefore hearken, O Yasharahla, unto the statutes and unto the judgment which I teach you, for to do them, that ye may live and go in and possess the land which Yahweh your Elohim of your fathers giveth you.
So we're told to hearken unto the commandments that Moses taught us. And this is where we see that we have to read the commandments, because we can't listen to them if we don't hear them. And this is how we see that we have to go to convocations on the Sabbath to hear the law being taught. Because in order for us to hear it, that means somebody has to be reading it, and it goes into our ear. So he says, listen to the commandments, and then he says to do them, that you may live. So if we break these commandments, we are condemning ourselves to eternal death. Everybody understand that? Everybody understand that? So if you don't keep the commandments, then your soul will be destroyed by Yahweh, period. There's no negotiation, captivity or not. Because a person that says, oh, we in captivity, we don't got to keep the commandments, that's the same kind of person that when America starts to fall, going to be saying they don't got to keep the commandments because they need food for their children, for their daughter, for their son. Same person that when they go to jail, oh, I don't got a woman in here, so I got to do what I got to do to get my satisfaction. So there's no excuse for breaking the commandments. We can't serve mammon, food, water, and money, and serve the Most High. So Yahweh has to be above all decisions that we make, period.
Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 2. Ye shall not add unto the word which I command you, neither shall ye diminish out from it, that ye may keep the commandments of Yahweh your Elohim, which I command you.
So we can pass legislation for civil and cultural understanding, safety, and security, but we can't tell you these are the laws that Yahweh has said that you must keep. But we have to obey the judges and the officers even in our captivities. We have to obey the judges and the officers even in our captivity. That's what the Most High has commanded us. All right, and if we don't do that, then we're breaking the commandment. But we can't add to his law. In other words, we can't make it a law that you gotta celebrate your birthday. You gotta celebrate the new year and have a big party and a festival on the first day of Abib. That's not what his law says. So we can't add to the laws that he gave us, and we can't take away. We can't take away and say we don't gotta do this anymore. Certain laws we can't do because we're in captivity and we don't have the temple and we don't have the sacrifices and we don't have the Levites.
Verse 3. Your eyes have seen what Yahweh did because of Baal Peor. For all the men that follow Baal Peor, Yahweh thy Elohim has destroyed them from among you.
Make sure you...
And ye that did cleave unto Yahweh your Elohim are alive, this every one of you this day. Behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments, even as Yahweh my Elohim commanded me, that ye should do so in the land whither ye go to possess it. Keep therefore and do them. For this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people. For what nation is there so great who has Yahweh so nigh unto them, as Yahweh Elohim is in all things that we call upon him for? And what nation is there so great, statutes and judgments so righteous as all this law which I set before you this day? Only take heed to thyself, and keep thy soul diligently, lest thou forget what thy eyes have seen, lest they depart from thy heart all the days of thy life. But teach them, thy sons and thy sons' sons, especially the day that thou stoodest before Yahweh, thy Elohim in Horeb, when Yahweh said unto me, gather me together, and I will make them hear my words, that they may learn to fear me all the days that they shall live upon the earth, and that they...
He says this law, okay? So when he says this law, the law that he's talking about is the laws that he's reading to us and reminding us in this chapter, chapter 4. And in the rest of the chapters in Deuteronomy, he's giving us the commandments of what we're supposed to be doing. Go ahead.
And ye came near and stood. And ye came near and stood under the mountain, and the mountain burned with the fire unto the midst of heaven, which darkness, clouds, and thick darkness. And Yahweh spake unto you out of the midst of the fire, and ye heard the voice of the words, but saw no similitude. Only ye heard a voice, and he declared unto you his covenant, which he commanded you to perform, even 10 commandments. And he wrote them upon 2 tables of stone. And Yahweh commanded me at that time to teach you statutes and judgments, that ye may do them in the land whither ye go over to possess it. Take ye therefore good heed unto yourselves, for ye saw no manner of similitude on the day that Yahweh spake unto you in Horeb, out of the midst of the fire, lest ye corrupt yourselves, and make you a graven image, the similitude of any figure, the likeness of man or female, the likeness of any beast that is on the earth, the likeness of any winged fowl that flies in the air, the likeness of anything that creepeth on the ground, the likeness of any fish that is in the waters beneath the earth. And lest thou lift up thy eyes unto heaven, and when thou seest the sun and the moon and the stars, even all the hosts of heaven, shouldest be driven to worship them and serve them, which Yahweh thy Elohim has divided unto all nations under the whole heaven.
So notice he talked about the sun and the moon, that he's distancing himself from us worshiping the sun and the moon in verse 19. So the other religions, such as Islam, such as Christianity, they use a wooden cross, they use a sun, they use a moon, they use a star as a representation of their religion. But this is idolatry. There is no symbol in the celestial heavens that the Most High wants us to associate with Him and with obedience to His laws. So that shows you how Islam is against Moses, because they have a crescent moon and a star that they use and say that that's going to be the symbol of this religion. And so-called Christianity uses a wooden cross, which the Most High never gave us these symbols and never told us to use these symbols in association with worshiping Him.
Verse 20. But Yahweh has taken you and brought you forth out of the iron furnace, even out of Egypt, to be unto Him a people of inheritance, as ye are this day. Furthermore, Yahweh was angry with me for your sakes, and swear that I should not go over Jordan, and that I should not go unto that good land which Yahweh the Elohim giveth thee for inheritance. But I must die in this land. I must not go over Jordan, but ye shall go over and possess that good land. Take heed unto yourselves, lest ye forget the covenant of Yahweh your Elohim, which He hath made with you, and make you a graven image, or the likeness of anything which Yahweh thy Elohim has forbidden thee.
Now, didn't Islam make graven images? Didn't they take a block of the black rock and make a graven image of silver and put it around it? And then they go over and they kiss it? Didn't the Catholics make graven images of Mary and the saints? And they bow down and kiss their feet? And they kiss the saints and they pray to them? Exactly what Yahweh said not to do, that's exactly what our people are doing.
Verse 24, for Yahweh thy Elohim is a consuming fire, even a jealous Elohim. When thou shalt begot children and children's children, ye shall have remained long in the land, and shall corrupt yourselves, and make a graven image or the likeness of anything, and shall do evil in the sight of Yahweh thy Elohim, to provoke him to anger. I call heaven and earth to witness against you this day, that ye shall soon utterly perish from off the land whereunto ye go over Jordan to possess it. Ye shall not prolong your days upon it, but shall utterly be destroyed. And Yahweh shall scatter you among the nations, and ye shall be left few in number among the heathen, whither Yahweh shall lead you. And there ye shall serve gods, the works of men's hands, wood and stone, which neither see, nor hear, nor eat, nor smell. But it from thence thou shalt seek Yahweh thy Elohim, thou shalt find him. If thou seek him with all thy heart and with all thy soul, when thou art in tribulation, and all these things are come upon thee, even in the latter days, if thou turn to Yahweh thy Elohim, and shall be obedient unto his voice.
So it says in the last days that we have to obey Yahweh and come back to him no matter where we are, which is the times we're living in now, the latter days. Return to Yahweh, read the commandments, learn his laws, accept Yahweh Shai HaMashiach as the Messiah, and we will live. If we do anything else, we're going to die.
Verse 31, for Yahweh thy Elohim is the merciful Elohim. He will not forsake thee, neither destroy thee, nor forget the covenant of thy fathers, which he swore unto them. For ask now of the days that are past, which were before thee, since the day that Yahweh created man upon the earth, and ask from the one side of heaven unto the other, whether there has been any such thing as this great thing is, or has been heard like it. Did even people hear the voice of Yahweh speaking out of the midst of the fire, as thou hast heard, and lived? Or has Yahweh said to go and take him a nation from the midst of another nation, by temptations, by signs, and by wonders, and by war, and by a mighty hand, and by a stretched out arm, and by a great terrors, according to all that Yahweh Elohim did for you in Egypt, before your eyes? Unto thee it shall be shown, that thou mayest know that Yahweh, he is Yahweh. There is none else beside him.
So he said, ask. Ask if anybody ever went and Yahweh talked to them as a people. Islam, Catholics, Protestants, Pentecostal, Apostolic, Holiness, Methodist, Baptist, Jehovah's Witness, Seventh-day Adventists, Mormons. Did Yahweh ever come to the earth with his voice and talk to them and make a covenant with them? No, he didn't. So whatever they say Yahweh is saying to them, and you have to come and follow them, Islam, Catholicism, Protestantism is the foundation of liars. Only Yasharahla, only Israel is he dealing with. You can't just come up and make your own religion, your own denomination, and then expect everybody to come and follow you based on a man saying something. Right? Yahweh Shai was prophesied from Genesis, and Moses was set up by Yahweh to lead the children of Israel. And that's the only ones that we look to for validation of who's truthful and who's a lie.
Deuteronomy 4, verse 36. Out of heaven he made thee to hear his voice, that he might instruct thee. And upon earth he showed thee his great fire. And thou heardest his words out of the midst of the fire. And because he loved thy fathers, therefore he chose their seed after them, and brought thee out in his sight with his mighty power out of Egypt, to drive out nations from before thee, greater and mightier than thou art, to bring thee in, to give thee their land for inheritance as it is this day. Know therefore this day, and consider it in thine heart, that Yahweh, he is Yahweh, he is Elohim, in the heavens above and upon the earth below. There is no other.
I can't put.
Verse 40. Thou shalt keep therefore his statutes and his commandments, which I command thee this day, that it may go well with thee and with thy children after thee, and that thou mayest prolong thy days upon the earth, which Yahweh thy Elohim giveth thee forever. Then Masharah several 3 cities on this side, Jordan toward the sun rising, that the slayer may flee thither, which should kill his neighbor unawares, and hated him not in times past, and that fleeing unto one of these cities he might live. Namely, Bezer in the wilderness, in the plain countries of the Reubenites, and Ramoth in Gilead of the Gadites, and Golan in Bashan of the Manassites. And this is the law which Masharah set before the children of Yasharahla. These are the testimonies and the statutes and the judgments which Masharah spake unto the children of Yasharahla after they came forth out of Egypt.
So you're supposed to have a city of refuge for somebody that kills somebody on accident. And they have to stay in that city until the high priest dies. All right, and the new high priest comes in. Everybody understand that? So if you have not a murder, but an accidental homicide, somebody kills somebody in an accident, they're not supposed to just be walking on the streets. They're supposed to be in a special place where people killed somebody on accident. Okay? So that's the story. And that's the law. And that's what we have to go by.
Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 46. On this side Jordan, in the valley over against Beth Peor, in the land of Sihon, king of the Amorites, who dwell at Heshbon, whom Masharah and the children of Yasharahla smote, after they were come forth out of Egypt. And they possessed his land in the land of Og, king of Bashan, 2 kings of the Amorites, which were on this side Jordan, towards the sunrising, from Arner, which is by the bank of the river Adnon, even unto Mount Zion, even unto Mount Zion, which is Hermon, and all the plain on this side Jordan eastward, and even unto the sea of the plain, unto the springs of
Einan?
under the springs of Pagash. Deuteronomy, the 5th chapter. And Masharah called all Israel, Yasharahla, and said unto them, Hear, O Yasharahla, the statutes and judgments which I speak in your ears this day, that ye may learn them and keep and do them. Yahweh Elohim made a covenant with us in Horeb, Yahweh made not this covenant with our fathers, but with us.
So in verse 4, chapter 4, verse 44, he says that, and this is the law which Masharah set before the children of Yasharahla. So it's not the entire law, but these are the summaries, the summarization of the law. And these are the ones that we're supposed to read at every feast of tabernacles every 7 years. But now we read it regularly because we don't have a year of release. We don't know when it is. So should we not do it or should we do it? And this is the 7th year of us coming together under Masharah Yasharahla, the government of Israel. So it's appropriate to be read in this year. So the law that we're reading are the laws that Yahweh gave to us already, and Moses is giving a review of these commandments.
Yahweh made not this covenant with our fathers, but with us. Love me and keep my commandments.
So Yahweh is saying, don't make any graven images to worship. He doesn't mean you can't make a picture of something or a photograph or a carving. How do we know that? Because we had cherubim on top of the Ark of the Covenant. We had cherubim on the curtains of the temple. Solomon had 12 bulls around they had bulls around the laver to wash at the priest at the temple. All right? It was 12 lions on Solomon's throne. So this doesn't mean you can't draw pictures of lions and rabbits and stuff. It doesn't mean you can't do a photograph. It means you can't make these images and pictures and worship them and bow down to them and start to exalt them above anything, above everything, as if they have some type of power or they are some type of divine, holy, not divine, but they are some type of holy, set apart God or representative of the Most High, because they're not.
Thou shalt not take the name of Yahweh thy Elohim in vain, for Yahweh will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain. Keep the Shabbat day to sanctify it, as Yahweh thy Elohim has commanded thee. 6 days thou shalt labor and do all thy work, but the 7th day is the Shabbat of Yahweh thy Elohim. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, nor thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thine ox, nor thy ass, nor any of thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates, that thy manservant and thy maidservant may rest as well as thou.
So the Most High says that your ox is not supposed to work on the Sabbath. Your ox ain't supposed to work, your wife ain't supposed to work, and your ass ain't supposed to work. That's what it says. It says thy ass. So your ass ain't supposed to be working on the Sabbath day. So keep your ass from working on the Sabbath day. So you're not supposed to be doing no work, nor your ass, or your ox, or your wife. All right? So the Sabbath day is the 7th day. There's a lot of people confused about that. And Yahweh is not the author of confusion. He's not the author of confusion. And we have to agree together on his commandments so we can be without sin together and be repenting together. So the 6 days of creation and the 7th day was a day of rest. And every time after that, 6 days, rest. 6 more days, you rest. All of the records, all of the history, all of the culture and the customs around the planet Earth show us this is how the Israelites have been doing it for thousands of years. And some new Gentiles have come around in recent history trying to change the way that Yasharahla has been doing it for over 2,000 years. But it's not right. Doesn't make sense if you go in the scriptures and you see something that you think is making sense, and then you're going to go against how it has been done before you were born, thousands of years when nobody disagreed about this. Other things we do disagree about. But this part everybody agreed on. This is the Sabbath day. Friday so-called night to so-called Saturday night is the Sabbath day. Have nothing to do with Saturn, have nothing to do with the Julian or the Gregorian calendar. Those things did not change the 7-day count from creation. The Roman calendar that they used when they went from a standard 7-day week, instead of fluctuating between 7 and 8 days in different parts of the empire, they came to us and took our calendar to see what day of the week we're supposed to be on. So that's the truth about that. So that 7-day calendar that they use is not something that they got from out of nowhere. They got it from us, but they changed the names of the days of the week.
Deuteronomy 5, verse 15. And remember that thou wast a servant in the land of Egypt, and that Yahweh thy Elohim brought thee out thence through a mighty hand, and by a stretched out arm. Therefore Yahweh thy Elohim commanded thee to keep the Shabbat day. Honor thy father and thy mother, as Yahweh thy Elohim has commanded thee, that thy days may be prolonged, and that it may go well with thee in the land which Yahweh thy Elohim giveth thee. Thou shalt not murder. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Neither thou shalt desire thy neighbor's wife. Neither shalt thou covet thy neighbor's house, his field, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, his ox, or his ass, or anything that is thy neighbor's.
So you can't want something out of the loss of somebody else for yourself. You can't say, I want his car, all right? You can't say, I want his job. You can't say, I want his office. I want to do what he's doing. I want to do the calendar. I want to be the spokesperson. I think I should be in charge of communication. I think I should be over the priest. I think I should be the one that's starting up the camp and teach first. All right? Stealing. False witness is when you're talking about stuff and you saying somebody did something and it's not true. You're speculating. All right? When you say she did this or he did this and you don't know 100% that they did it, that's false witness. So we can be clear. Thou shalt not steal. You take something that belongs to somebody else without their permission. That's stealing. You take something that does not rightfully belong to you. That's stealing. Okay? Thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not commit adultery. All right? So you have adultery when a man is married to a woman. A man is married to a woman. That woman goes and lays with another woman or an animal or another man. That's adultery. All right? A man lays with a woman that belongs to another man. That's adultery. That's adultery, okay? And then you have a man divorces his wife. That wife didn't commit adultery. And then he marries another woman. That's adultery. And then you have a man marries a woman that was divorced for any reason. That's adultery. So those are the different forms of adultery. And we cannot commit any form of adultery. Thou shalt not murder. Murder is when you deliberately or maliciously or recklessly go out. All right? Let's say I got a gun. Let's say I got a gun and I just shoot my gun in the air and my gun come down and hit somebody. I shouldn't have done that. Now murder, let's say if you not defending yourself, that's murder. If you're doing something to somebody to hurt them and they haven't threatened you, they mean you no harm, that's murder. When you're dealing with life and death and protecting yourself and your family, you have to know when to kill and when not to kill. especially the times that we're going to be going into pretty soon. If somebody is saying, hey, you, brother or sister so-and-so, Mr. or Miss so-and-so, little girl or little boy so-and-so, next time I see you, I'm going to kill you. Are you murdering if you say, no, you're not, because I'm about to take you out right now? Especially with the times we're living in. People need to take threats very seriously, but be ready to pay for the consequences. I don't know what the standard is in America, but if you are telling somebody you're going to murder them, you're going to either walk around, the person that's being threatened is going to walk around looking over their shoulder, waiting to stop the person from trying to murder them, or they're going to be like, no, you're not, because I'm not going to give you a chance to ever say that to anybody again. But you have to weigh the pros and the cons very heavily. Honor your mother and your father, no matter how old you are. What your mother and father say do, that's what needs to be done. You're never too old to do what your parents tell you to do, period. Now, if your parents are not keeping the Torah, and they tell you, hey, go to the store, give me some squares. Go to the store and give me some tweezers, give me some papers, give me some shells, even though half you Israelites are drug addicts anyway now. All right? But you can't do things against the laws of Yahweh for anybody. You're not supposed to. You shouldn't. But your mother and your father, you have to honor and respect them within the laws of the Most High. Okay? So that's what the Most High said. He tells you that the stranger that lives with us has to work on the 6 days, but he has to rest. She has to rest on the Sabbath day. They can't work on that 7th day. Okay? So that was verse 21. Now we're going to verse 22.
These words Yahweh spake unto all your assembly in the mount out of the midst of the fire, of the cloud, and of the thick darkness with a great voice. And he added no more. And he wrote them in 2 tables of stone and delivered them unto me. And it came to pass when ye heard the voice out of the midst of the darkness, for the mountain did burn with fire, that ye came near unto me, even all the heads of your tribes and your elders. And he said, behold, Yahweh Elohim has shown us his glory and his greatness, and we have heard his voice out of the midst of the fire. We have seen this day that Yahweh doeth talk with man, and he liveth. Now therefore, why should we die? For this great fire will consume us. If we hear the voice of Yahweh Elohim any more, then we shall die. For who is there of all flesh that has heard the voice of the living Elohim speaking out of the midst of the fire as we have and lived? Go thou near and hear all that Yahweh Elohim shall say, and speak thou unto all that Yahweh Elohim shall speak unto thee, and we will hear it and do it. And Yahweh heard the voice of your words when ye spake unto me, and Yahweh said unto me, I have heard the voice of the words of this people, which they have spoken unto thee. They have well said all that they have spoken. Oh, that there were such an heart in them, that they would fear me and keep all my commandments always, that it might be well with them and with their children forever. Go say to them, get you into your tents again. For as for these, stand thou here by me, and I will speak unto thee all the commandments and the statutes and the judgments which thou shalt teach them, that they may do them in the land which I give them to possess it. Ye shall observe to do therefore as Yahweh Elohim has commanded you. Ye shall not turn aside to the right hand nor to the left.
So do exactly as we have written. When you can power in your hand, do it. In other words, we keep the Feast of Tabernacles, but we can't go and do sacrifices. But we can still build a tabernacle and dwell in it.
And ye shall walk in all the ways which Yahweh Elohim has commanded you, that ye may live, and it may be well with you, and that ye may prolong your days in the land which ye shall possess. Deuteronomy the 6th chapter. Now these are the commandments, the statutes and the judgments which Yahweh Elohim commanded to teach you, that ye may do them in the land whither ye go to possess it, that thou mightest fear Yahweh Elohim, to keep all his statutes and his commandments which I command thee, thou and thy son's son, all the days of thy life, and that thy days may be prolonged. Hear therefore, O Yasharahla, and observe to do it, that it may be well with thee, and that ye may increase mightily, as Yahweh Elohim of thy fathers has promised thee, in the land that flows with milk and honey. Hear, O Yasharahla, the Elohim of the Elohim.
Hear, O Yasharahla, Yahweh, our power. Yahweh is one. So we have to listen to the words of Yahweh, which again, we have to hear this right here, which means somebody has to say it. That's why we have to say it out loud with each other. Yahweh, our power, Yahweh is one. There's no other power but Yahweh. All power is Yahweh. All the other gods of the different nations are idols, including in Christianity, including in Islam. All those gods that they're worshiping are idols. It's not real. It's not the God of Israel. Because the God of Israel, Yahweh, got very specific things he told us to do.
And thou shalt love Yahweh Elohim with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy might.
That means nothing goes above Yahweh. Whatever he say to do, that's what it is. There's no arguing, whether it's about your mother, your father, your husband, your wife, your boss, your dog, your neighbor. Whatever he said to do, you're not going against anybody else. You're going against Yahweh first. You step out of line with what he said to do. If he said honor your mother, and I'm gonna be cussing my mother out in my brain because she told me to do something I didn't like, I'm disrespecting and going against Yahweh. And he's gonna pay me back. My mother might not even know, but guess who knows? Yahweh knows. And he's gonna pay me back for that wicked thought that came into my head. So he said, love Yahweh with all of your heart. That means all of your substance that you exist with is meant for you to express your love for Yahweh, to walk in obedience to Yahweh. Everybody understand that? So there's no excuse. Whether you're in America, in captivity, so on and so forth. Always remember 2 Maccabees chapter 7, verse, the whole chapter, with the mother and her sons that wouldn't eat pork. All right? Which means that they didn't break the laws for nobody, not even pork. What's the penalty for eating pork? We don't know it. It's not written. Probably was a whipping though, but the penalty for breaking the Shabbat was getting killed. So we trying to work on the Shabbat because we in captivity, but the Most High said don't work on the Shabbat. Love it with all your heart, soul, and might. That's the first and greatest commandment. Why is it the greatest? Because once you do that one, all of the other ones fall in line. But how can you love me and love yourself if you don't love your maker, you don't love Yahweh? Right?
And these words which I command thee this day shall be in thy heart.
How are they going to be in your heart if you don't read them? So you got to read the laws of the Most High, especially every Shabbat. And during the week you should be reading his laws.
And thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children.
Diligently means to point out. These are the laws of the Most High. That's why we got a chart. These are the 613 laws that Yahweh gave us and our people. So diligently teach them to your children. Diligent means don't let them stray off of it. Make them stay on it. Now if they say, you know, to hell with you, I want to go be a Buddhist. When they leave, the blood is off of your hands. Go be a Buddhist. There's more in the kingdom for me with your wicked behind child self. There's more in the kingdom for me. You understand what I'm saying? So the Most High said, what? The Most High said, teach them to your children diligently. That means consistently and making sure that they understand.
And shall talk of them with thy sitters in thy house.
No, he said you got to talk about TikTok.
And talk of them when thy sitters in thy house.
You're supposed to be talking about these commandments. Why is the Most High saying teach them to your children and then talking to them when you're sitting in your house? Who you going to talk to them with in your house? Your children. You're supposed to be discussing and talking about the commandments with your children in your house. Go ahead.
Diligently unto thy children, and shall talk of them when thou sittest in thy house, and when thou walkest by the way.
So when you're walking at some point, hey, let's talk about these commandments. Go ahead.
When thou liest down, when thou risest up.
When you lay down, when you rise up, you say the Shema. Go ahead.
And thou shalt bind them for a sign unto thy hand.
That's talking about the Tefillin, where you got certain commandments and laws in them. Put them on your head and put them on your wrist.
And they shall be as frontlets between thine eyes. And thou shalt write them upon the posts of thy house and on thy gates.
So you put like the mezuzah on the front of your house.
And it shall be when Yahweh Elohim shall have brought thee into the land which he sware unto thy fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, to give thee great and goodly cities which thou buildest not, and the houses full of all good things which thou fillest not, and wells digged which thou diggest not, vineyards and olive trees which thou plantest not, when thou shalt have eaten and be full. Then beware lest thou forget Yahweh, which brought thee forth out of the land of Egypt from the house of bondage. Thou shalt fear Yahweh Elohim and serve him.
Jehovah Witnesses aren't the people of Yahweh. He made a covenant with the children of Israel with nobody else. So we're not supposed to be following any philosophies, any theologies of any other people besides what Yahweh gave the children of Yasharahla, which is the Masharah Yasharahla. That's the power that we follow.
For Yahweh, as it is at this day, that it shall be our righteousness, if we observe to do all these commandments before Yahweh Elohim, as he has commanded us. Deuteronomy 7. When Yahweh thy Elohim shall bring thee into the land whither thou goest to possess it, and hast cast out many nations before thee, the Hittites, the Girgasites, and the Amorites, and the Canaanites, and the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites, 7 nations greater and mightier than thou. And when Yahweh thy Elohim delivered them before thee, thou shalt smite them and utterly destroy them. Thou shalt make no covenant with them, nor show mercy unto them. Neither shalt thou make marriages with them. Thy daughter thou shalt not give unto his son, nor his daughter shalt thou take unto thy son. But they will turn away thy son from following me, that they may serve other gods. So will the anger of Yahweh be kindled against you, and destroy thee suddenly.
And see what Yahweh said? Deuteronomy chapter 7, verse 3. What did he say? He said, don't make marriages with these heathen people that's worshiping other gods. What did he say is going to happen if you do? He said, they're going to turn your son against me and have your son worshiping other gods. Ain't that exactly what Yahweh said? And that's the reality, man. See, Yahweh told you what to do, but these little boys, they want some exotic, foreign, strange. They want some strange. Now realize that they got a whole variety of hair textures, complexions, heights, physiques from all 12 tribes of Israel. North America, Central America, South America, Israelites in East Africa, West Africa, South Africa, Israelites in India, Sri Lanka, Turkey, Israelites in Afghanistan, in Syria, in Jordan, in Israel. So Israelites all over the globe, Yahweh is saying, only make marriages with your people. Don't make marriages with the other Gentile nations. And then he says, if you make marriages with the Gentile nations, he tells you that they're going to make your sons stop following me and serve other gods. That's why you have to make sure your sons understand, don't fool around with these heathen, Gentile, idolatry women. These heathen, Gentile, idolatry women, don't fool around with. Don't take their daughters to be your daughter-in-laws, and don't take their sons to be your son-in-law. And then Yahweh is going to be angry when the children do these things. So Yahweh is going to tell you how you're supposed to deal with these people that are following other religions.
But thus shall ye deal with them. Ye shall destroy their altars, and break down their images, and cut down their groves, and burn their graven images with fire.
Does that sound like religious tolerance? That sounds like we're not supposed to entertain none of the idolatry that they're talking about. That's what that sounds like, and that's what it means. We're supposed to take the images and their symbols and destroy them. Not say, well, I think we can incorporate this into being Israelites. You see? Go ahead.
But thou art an holy people unto Yahweh thy Elohim. Yahweh thy Elohim has chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, above all people that are upon the face of the earth.
Yahweh said, Yasharahla, the children of Israel are over all of the nations. We're over every Gentile nation on the planet Earth.
Yahweh did not set his love upon you, nor choose you, because ye were more in number than any people. For ye were the fewest among all people. But because Yahweh loved you, and because he would keep the oath which he swore unto your fathers, has Yahweh brought you out with a mighty hand, and redeemed you out of the house of bondmen, from the hand of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. Know therefore that Yahweh Elohim, he is Elohim, the faithful Elohim, which keepeth covenant, and mercy with them that love him, and keep his commandments to 1,000 generations, and repayeth them that hate him to their face, to destroy them. He will not be slack to him that hateth him. He will repay him to his face. Thou shalt therefore keep the commandments and the statutes and the judgments which I command thee this day to do them. Wherefore it shall come to pass, if ye hearken to these judgments and keep and do them, that Yahweh Elohim shall keep unto thee the covenant and the mercy which he sware unto thy fathers. And he will love thee, and bless thee, and multiply thee. He will also bless the fruit of thy womb, and the fruit of thy land, thy corn, and thy wine, and thy oil, the increase of thy kind, and the flocks of thy sheep, and the land which he sware unto thy fathers to give thee. Thou shalt be blessed above all people. There shall not be male nor female barren among you, or among your cattle. And Yahweh will take away from thee all sickness, and will put none of the evil diseases of Egypt, which thou knowest, upon thee, but will lay them upon all them that hate thee. And thou shalt consume all the people which Yahweh thy Elohim shall deliver thee. Thou eyes shall have no pity upon them, neither shalt thou serve their gods. For that will be a snare unto thee. If thou shalt say in thy heart, these nations are more than I, how can I dispossess them? Thou shalt not be afraid of them, but thou shalt well remember what Yahweh thy Elohim did unto Pharaoh in all Egypt. The great temptations which thy eyes saw, and the signs and the wonders, and the mighty hand, and the stretched out arm, whereby Yahweh thy Elohim brought thee out, so shall Yahweh thy Elohim do unto all the people on whom thou art afraid. Moreover, Yahweh thy Elohim sent the hornet among them, until they that are left and hide themselves from thee be destroyed. Thou shalt not be frightened at them, for Yahweh thy Elohim is among you, a mighty Elohim and terrible. And Yahweh thy Elohim will put out those nations before thee by little and little, that thou mayest not consume them at once, lest the beasts of the field increase upon thee. But Yahweh thy Elohim shall deliver thee unto thee, and shall destroy them with a mighty destruction until they be destroyed. And he shall deliver their kings into thy hand, and thou shalt destroy their name from under the heaven. Thou shalt destroy their name from under the heaven. There shall no man be able to stand before thee until thou have destroyed them. The graven images of their gods shall ye burn with fire. Thou shalt not desire the silver nor gold that is on them, nor take it unto thee, lest thou be snared therein. For it is an abomination to Yahweh thy Elohim. Neither shalt thou bring an abomination into thy house, lest thou be cursed. Thing like it. But thou shalt utterly detest it, and thou shalt utterly abhor it, for it is a cursed thing. Deuteronomy chapter 8. All the commandments which I command thee this day shall ye do that ye may live and multiply, and go in and possess the land which Yahweh thy Elohim sware unto your fathers. And thou shalt remember all the way which Yahweh thy Elohim led thee these 40 years in the wilderness, to humble thee, and to prove thee, and to know what was in thy heart, whether thou wouldest keep his commandments or no. And he humbled thee, and suffered thee to hunger, and and fed thee with manna, which thou knewest not, neither did thy fathers know, that he might make thee know that man doeth not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of Yahweh doeth man live. Thy raiment waxed not old upon thee, neither did thy foot swell these 40 years. Thou also consider in thy heart that as a man chasteneth his son, so Yahweh thy Elohim chastise thee. Therefore, thou shalt keep the commandments of Yahweh thy Elohim, to walk in his ways, and to fear him. For Yahweh thy Elohim bringeth thee into a good land, a land of brooks, of water, of fountains, and depths that spring out of valleys and hills, a land of wheat and barley and vines and fig trees and pomegranates, a land of oil olives and honey, and land wherein thou shalt not eat bread without scarceness. Thou shalt not lack anything in it, a land whose stones are iron, and out of those hills thou mayest dig brass. When thou hast eaten and art full, Then thou shalt bless Yahweh, thy Elohim, for the good land which he has given thee. Beware that thou forget not Yahweh thy Elohim in not keeping his commandments and his judgments and his statutes, which I command thee this day. Lest when thou hast eaten and art full, and hast built goodly houses and dwell therein, and when thou herds and thy flocks multiply, and thy silver and thy gold is multiplied, and all that thou hast is multiplied, then thy heart be lifted up, and thou forget not Yahweh thy Elohim, which brought thee out of the land of Egypt from the house of bondage, who led thee through that great and terrible wilderness, wherein were fiery serpents and scorpions and drought, where there was no water, who brought thee forth water out of the rock of flint, who fed thee in the wilderness with manna, which thy fathers knew not, that he might humble thee, and that he might prove thee to do these good at thy latter end. And thou say in thy heart, my power and the might of thy hand has gotten me this wealth. But thou shalt remember that Yahweh thy Elohim, for it is he that giveth thee power to get wealth, that he may establish his covenant which he sware unto thy fathers as it is this day.
So Yahweh is the one that gives us the wealth that we have to show his power. So how are you going to try to get wealth? By going against the word of Yahweh. So he said that he gives us the wealth so that he can establish his power. So once we establish that Yahweh is giving us the power and the wealth, how can you say, well, now I got to go against Yahweh to get this power and this wealth? So if Yahweh is saying, look, do what I say to do, and I'm going to give you this wealth. And then somebody say, forget Yahweh, what about your children? What about the kids and your wife and your rent? You can't keep Yahweh's law and have your job too. See, now what you're doing, you're making a covenant with Satan. Because Satan is rewarding you for going against the commandments of Yahweh. Yahweh punishes those that break his commandments. And then Yahweh punishes people that keep his commandments too sometimes. As is the case with Job. As was the case with Daniel. All right, as was the case with his own son, Yahushua HaMashiach. So when you say, oh, I got it good, I got this, I got that, because I broke the commandments of the Most High, that's you making a deal with Satan now. You see? Making a deal with Satan. See, every generation, Yahweh said, keep the Sabbath. Don't work Friday night to Saturday night. Then the Catholics come and say, you can work Saturday and Sunday, but just go to church on Sunday. And then the Muslims come and say, we got something better. You got to just go to prayer in the afternoon on Friday, and that's it. Just go pray on Friday, and you got it. See, every God demon comes making it more and more appealing for people to go against Yahweh. But Yahweh gives the wealth. He controls everything. Whether it's going to be to benefit in the long run or to curse us in the long run, you know, we know based on what his word said.
And it shall be, if thou do at all forget Yahweh thy Elohim, and walk after other gods, and serve them, and worship them, I testify against you this day, that ye shall surely perish, as the nation which Yahweh destroyeth before your face. So shall ye perish, because ye will not be obedient unto the voice of Yahweh your Elohim.
So all these nations and all these people that have made different denominations and different gods against Yahweh, they're all going to perish. Meaning they're all going to be destroyed, be brought to nothing by Yahweh.
Hear, O Yasharahla, thou art passed over Jordan this day to go in to possess nations greater. Hear, O Yasharahla, thou art to pass over Jordan this day to go in to possess nations greater and mightier than thyself, cities great and fenced up to heaven, a people great and tall, the children of the Anakim, whom thou knowest, and of whom thou hast heard say, who can stand before the children of Anak? Understand therefore this day that Yahweh Elohim is he which goeth over before thee as a consuming fire. He shall destroy them, he shall bring them down before thy face. So shalt thou drive them out and destroy them quickly, as Yahweh has said unto thee. Speak not thou in thy heart after that Yahweh Elohim has cast them out from before thee, saying, for my righteousness Yahweh has brought me in to possess this land, but for the wickedness of these nations Yahweh doeth drive them out from before thee. Not for thy righteousness, nor for the uprightness of thy heart, doest thou go to possess their land, but for the wickedness of these nations Yahweh Elohim doth drive them out from before thee, and that he may perform the word which Yahweh sware unto thy fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Understand therefore that Yahweh Elohim giveth thee not this good land to possess it for thy righteousness, for thou art a stiff-necked people. Remember and forget not how thou provokest Yahweh Elohim to wrath in the wilderness, from the day that thou didst depart out of the land of Egypt until ye come unto this place. Ye have been rebellious against Yahweh.
So Yahweh said, remember the wickedness that we did against him, the things we said against him. Don't forget. So we know that we are wicked people. Even when he was blessing us, every day was a miracle. He still said, remember that you did this wickedness against me. Don't forget. So you keep in mind, what did he do? Why he said one of the reasons, one of the benefits of remembering it is to know that Yahweh wiped out whole generations because of their not trusting in him, because they didn't believe that he was going to allow them to conquer the cities of the Canaanites after being in the wilderness for 40 days. We were there. Then Yahweh said, no, for every day that you've been in this wilderness, 40 days, I'm going to make you stay here for another year. So he ended up staying in there for 40 years. Every day became a year. So 40 days, he said, you're going to stay in here for 40 years. And that generation died off. Everybody that was, 20 years old and up died. So the oldest person that was out there with us, of that group of people, was the ones that was 49 years old. 59 years old. 40 years plus the 19-year-old. He was 59 years old at that point. And then he had children, and he had probably grandchildren at 59 at that time. He was a grandfather most likely. Maybe even a great-grandfather, who knows, right? So, the point is that remember what happened in the wilderness.
And in Horeb ye provoked Yahweh to wrath, so that Yahweh was angry with you to have destroyed you. When I was gone up into the mount to receive the tables of stone, even the tables of the covenant which Yahweh made with you. Then I abode in the mount 40 days and 40 nights. I neither did eat bread nor drink water. And Yahweh delivered unto me 2 tables of stone, written with the finger of Yahweh, and on them was written according to all the words which Yahweh spake with you in the mount out of the midst of the fire in the day of the assembly. And it came to pass at the end of the 40 days and 40 nights that Yahweh gave me 2 tables of stone, even the tables of the covenant. And Yahweh said unto me, arise, get thee down quickly from hence, For thou people which thou hast brought forth out of Egypt have corrupted themselves. They are quickly turned aside out of the way which I commanded them. They have made them a molten image. Furthermore, Yahweh spake unto me, saying, I have seen this people, and behold, it is a stiff-necked people. Let me alone, that thou may destroy them, and blot out their name from under heaven. And I will make of thee a nation mightier and greater than they. So I turned and came down from the mount, and the mount burned with fire, and the two tables of the covenant were in my two hands. And I looked, and behold, ye have sinned against Yahweh your Elohim, and have made you a molten calf. Ye have turned aside quickly out of the way which Yahweh had commanded you. And I took the two tables and cast them out of my two hands and brake them before your eyes. And I fell down before Yahweh as at the first 40 days and 40 nights. I did neither eat bread nor drink water, because all your sins which ye sinned in doing wickedly in the sight of Yahweh to provoke him to anger. For I was afraid of the anger and hot displeasure wherewith Yahweh was wroth against you, to destroy you. But Yahweh hearkened unto me at that time also. And Yahweh was very angry with Aharon to destroy him. And I prayed for Aharon also the same time. And I took your sin, the calf, which ye had made, and burned it with fire, and stamped it, and grinded it very small, even until it was as small as dust. And I cast the dust therefore into the brook that descended out of the mount. And at Teprah, and at Masad, and at Kiphrahath-tavad.
Sorry, it's too many. Sometimes these big words slow us down some.
Ye provoked Yahweh to wrath. Likewise, when Yahweh sent you from Kadesh Barnea, saying,
Kadesh Barnea.
Kadesh Barnea, saying, go up and possess the land which I have given you. Then ye rebelled against the commandment of Yahweh your Elohim, and ye believed him not, nor hearkened to his voice. Ye have been rebellious against Yahweh from the day that I knew you. Thus I fell down before Yahweh.
He said, y'all been rebellious since I first met y'all.
Thus I fell down before Yahweh 40 days and 40 nights, as I fell down at the first, because Yahweh has said he would destroy you.
So that's a total of 80 days that Moses went without water or food. 80 days for us.
I prayed therefore unto Yahweh, and said, O Yahweh, Elohim, destroy not thy people and thy inheritance, but thou hast redeemed through thy greatness, which thou hast brought forth out of Egypt with a mighty hand. Remember thy servants, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Look not unto the stubbornness of this people, nor of their wickedness, nor to their sin, lest the land whence thou broughtest us out say, because Yahweh was not able to bring them into the land which he promised them, and because he hated them, he had brought them out to slay them in the wilderness. Yet they are thy people, and thy inheritance, which thou broughtest out of by thy mighty hand, and by thy stretched out arm. Deuteronomy the 10th chapter. At that time Yahweh said unto me, hew thee 2 tables of stone like unto the first, and come up unto me into the mount, and make thee an ark of wood. And I will write on the tables the words that were in the first tables, which thou breakest, and thou shalt put them in the ark. And I made an ark of shittim wood, and hewed 2 tables of stone like unto the first, and went up into the mount, having the 2 tables in my hand. And he wrote on the tables, according to the first writing, the 10 commandments, which Yahweh spake unto you in the mount out of the midst of the fire in the day of the assembly, and Yahweh gave them unto me. And I turned myself and came down from the mount and put the tables in the ark, which I had made. And there they be, as Yahweh commanded me. And the children of Yasharahla took their journey from Beeroth of the children of Jachin,
Now that Ja'akan is Yaikwan.
to Masharah. There Aaron died, and there he was buried. And Eleazar, his son, ministered in the priest's office in his stead. From thence they journeyed unto Gaddah, and from Gaddah to Jokbath, a land of rivers of waters. At that time Yahweh separated the tribe of Levi to bear the ark of the covenant of Yahweh, to stand before Yahweh to minister unto him, and to bless in his name unto this day. Wherefore Levi has no part nor inheritance with his brethren. Yahweh is his inheritance, according to as Yahweh thy Elohim promised him. And I stayed in the mount according to the first time 40 days and 40 nights. And Yahweh hearkened unto me at that time also, and Yahweh would not destroy thee. And Yahweh said unto me, Arise, take thy journey before the people, that they may go in and possess the land where I swear it unto thy fathers, to give unto them. And now, Yasharahla, what doeth Yahweh thy Elohim require of thee? But to fear Yahweh thy Elohim, to walk in all his ways, and to love him, and to serve Yahweh thy Elohim with all thy heart and with all thy soul, to keep the commandments of Yahweh, his statutes, which I command thee this day for thy good. Behold, the heaven and the heavens of heavens, for is Yahweh's, thy Elohim, the earth also with all that therein is. Only Yahweh has a delight in thy fathers to love them, and he chose their seed after them, even you above all people, as it is this day. Circumcise therefore the foreskin of your heart, and be no more stiff-necked. For Yahweh your Elohim is the Elohim of Elohims, is the Elohim of Elohims. For Yahweh your Elohim is Adunya of Elohims, and Yahweh of Elohims, a great and mighty Elohim, a terrible and regarded not persons, nor taketh reward. He doeth execute the judgment of the fatherless and the widow, and loveth the stranger, and giveth him food and raiment. Love ye therefore the stranger, for ye were strangers in the land of Egypt. Thou shalt fear Yahweh thy Elohim, him shalt thou serve, and to him shalt thou cleave, and swear by his name. He is thy praise, he is thy Elohim. He has done for thee these great and terrible things, which thy eyes have seen. Thy fathers went down into Egypt with 70 persons. And now Yahweh thy Elohim has made thee as the stars of heaven for multitude. Deuteronomy, the 11th chapter. Therefore, thou shalt love Yahweh thy Elohim, and keep his charge, and his statutes, and his judgments, and his commandments always. And know ye this day, for I speak not with your children, which have not known, and which have not seen the chastisement of Yahweh Elohim, his greatness, his mighty hand, and his stretched out arm, and his miracles, and his acts, which he did in the midst of Egypt unto Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, and unto all his land, and what he did unto the army of Egypt, unto their horses, and to their chariots, how he made the water of the Reed Sea to overflow them, as they pursued after you, and how Yahweh has destroyed them unto this day, and what he did unto you in the wilderness, until ye come into this place, and what he did unto Dathan and Abiram, the sons of Abiram, Dathan and Abiram, the sons of Eliab, the son of Reuben, how the earth opened her mouth and swallowed them up, and their households, and their tents, and all the substance that was in their possession, in the midst of all Yasharahla. But your eyes have seen all the great acts of Yahweh which he did. Therefore shall ye keep all the commandments which I command you this day.
So again and again we keep hearing, keep the commandments, which means to guard and protect the commandments, which means to walk in the commandments, which means to do exactly what the commandments say to do. And when Yahweh says, love the stranger, he's talking about the Gentiles that come amongst the children of Israel and want to live right. He's not talking about Israelites that come from another place to live among us. How do we know that? Because Yahweh says that we were strangers in Egypt. And when we were strangers in Egypt, we were foreigners in a foreign land.
Therefore shall ye keep all the commandments which I command you this day, that you may be strong, and go in and possess the land, whither ye go to possess it, and that ye may prolong your days in the land which Yahweh sware unto your fathers to give unto them, and to their seed, a land that floweth with milk and honey. For the land whither thou goest in to possess it, it is not as the land of Egypt, from whence ye came out, where thou sowest thy seed, and watereth it with thy foot, as a garden of herbs. But the land whither ye go to possess it, it is a land of hills and valleys, and drinketh water of the rain of heaven, a land which Yahweh the Elohim cared for. The eyes of Yahweh the Elohim are always upon it, from the beginning of the year even unto this end of the year.
When it says the beginning of the year, it means the beginning of the year agriculturally in Abib, and the end of the agricultural year, which is the harvest that takes place in the 7th month, which month we're in right now, in the Feast of Booths. So it's not talking about the end of the year, per se, as in equal 12-day rotations, the 12th month of the Hebrew month, but the beginning of the agricultural year and the end of the agricultural year. And that's why it puts the emphasis that his eyes are always upon it, and it drinks the waters of the rain of heaven. And he's gonna allow us to eat of that land.
And it shall come to pass, if ye shall hearken diligently unto my commandments, which I command you this day, to love Yahweh your Elohim, and to serve him with all your heart, with all your soul, that I will give you the rain of your land in his due season, the first rain and the latter rain, that thou mayest gather in thy corn, and thy wine, and thy oil. And I will send grass in thy fields for thy cattle, that thou mayest eat and be full. Take heed to yourselves, that your heart be not deceived, and ye turn aside to serve other Elohim, and worship them. And then Yahweh's wrath be kindled against you, and he shut up the heavens, that there be no rain, and that the land yield not her fruit, and lest ye perish quickly from off the good land which Yahweh giveth you.
So over and over again, Yahweh says, don't worship other gods. And he says, do not worship any other gods. So you have to be careful about these celebrations, careful about the things that you go participate in, because a lot of things people are doing are worshiping other gods. Whether it's Easter, Christmas, Eid Mubarak, Ramadan, Diwali, all these different celebrations are worshiping other gods and dealing with idolatry. And we can't deal with these things as the children of Yasharahla.
Therefore shall ye lay up these my words in your heart and in your soul, and bind them for a sign upon your hand, that thou may be as frontlets between your eyes. And ye shall teach them your children, speaking of them when thou sittest in thy house, when thou walkest by the way, when thou liest down, when thou risest up. And thou shalt write them upon the doorposts of thy house and upon thy gates, that your days may be multiplied, and the days of your children in the land which Yahweh sware unto your fathers to give them, as the days of heaven upon the earth. For if ye shall diligently keep all these commandments which I command you to do them, to love Yahweh Elohim, to walk in all his ways, and to cleave unto him, then will Yahweh drive out all these nations from before you, and ye shall possess greater nations and mightier than yourselves. Every place whereon the soles of your feet shall tread shall be yours. From the wilderness and Lebanon, from the river Euphrates, even unto the uttermost sea shall your coast be. There shall no man be able to stand before you, for Yahweh Elohim shall lay the fear of you and the dread of you upon all the land that ye shall tread upon, as he has said unto you. Behold, I set before you this day a blessing and a curse. A blessing, if ye obey the commandments of Yahweh Elohim, which I command you this day, and a curse, if you will not obey the commandments of Yahweh, your Elohim, but turn aside out of the way which I command you this day to go after other gods, which ye have not known.
So Yahweh says that if you go after the commandment, if you go against him, go against the commandments, and you start to worship other gods, that you're bringing a curse upon yourself. You're cursed.
And it shall come to pass, when Yahweh Elohim has brought thee unto the land, whither thou goest to possess it, that thou shalt put the blessing upon Mount Gerizim,
Gerizim. Mount Gerizim, and the curse upon Mount Ebal.
Are they not on the other side of Jordan, by the way where the sun goes down, in the land of the Canaanites, which dwelleth in the Champaign, over against Gilgad, beside the plains of Moreh? For ye shall pass over Jordan to go in to possess the land which Yahweh Elohim giveth you, and ye shall possess it, and dwell therein. And ye shall observe to do all the statutes and judgments which I set before you this day. Deuteronomy chapter 12. These are the statutes and judgments which ye shall observe to do in the land which Yahweh your Elohim, the Elohim of thy fathers, giveth thee to possess it, all the days that ye live upon the earth. Ye shall utterly destroy all the places.
So that says you shall observe to keep these commands as long as you live upon the earth.
Yeah. Ye shall utterly destroy all the places wherein the nations which ye shall possess serve their gods, upon the high mountains, and upon the hills, and under every green tree. And ye shall overthrow their altars, and break their pillars, and burn their groves with fire. Ye shall hew down the graven images of their gods, and destroy the names of them out of that place. Ye shall not do so unto Yahweh Elohim, but unto the place which Yahweh Elohim shall choose out of all your tribes to put his name there, even unto his habitation shall ye seek, and thither shall ye come.
So that place is talking about Jerusalem. That's the holy city. Not the Vatican, not New Delhi, the river Ganges, not the birthplace of Buddha, not Mecca, not Medina. The holy place is Jerusalem that Yahweh chose.
And thither ye shall bring your burnt offerings, and your sacrifices, and your tithes, and your heave offerings of your hand, and your vows, and your free will offerings, and the firstlings of your herds and of your flocks. And there ye shall eat before Yahweh Elohim, and ye shall rejoice in all that ye put your hand unto, ye and your households, wherein Yahweh thy Elohim has blessed thee.
So he's talking about going there to eat during the feast days when we could get to Jerusalem on a regular basis. But now in this captivity with this COVID-19 and the Israeli white people have shut down the borders of people coming in that don't have biological family living within those areas, it's hard to get there during the feast days now.
Ye shall not do after all the things that we do here this day. Every man whatsoever is right in his own eyes. For ye are not as yet come to the rest and to the inheritance which Yahweh Elohim giveth you. But when ye go over Jordan and dwell in the land which Yahweh Elohim giveth you to inherit, and when he giveth you rest from all your enemies round about, so that ye dwell in safety, then there shall be a place which Yahweh Elohim shall choose to cause his name to dwell there. Thither shall ye bring all that I command you, your burnt offerings, and your sacrifices, your tithes, and your heave offerings of your hand, and all your choice vows which ye vow unto Yahweh. And ye shall rejoice before Yahweh Elohim, ye and your sons and your daughters, and your manservants and your maidservant, and the Levite that is within your gates, for as much as he has no part nor inheritance with you. Take heed to thyself, that thou offer not thy burnt offerings in every place that thou seest, but in the place which Yahweh shall choose in one of thy tribes. There thou shalt offer thy burnt offerings, and there thou shalt do all that I command thee.
So we only offer the sacrifices at Jerusalem.
Notwithstanding, thou mayest kill and eat flesh in all thy gates.
So Yahweh says that we can eat the meat of animals within all of the gates that we live in.
Notwithstanding, thou mayest eat and
Whatsoever thy soul lusteth after, meaning whatever lawful meat you want to eat within the gates that you live in, you can eat those animals. Go ahead.
according to the blessing of Yahweh thy Elohim, which he giveth thee, the unclean and the clean may eat thereof, as the roebuck and of the hart.
So the roebuck and the hart, two animals in the deer, the roebuck and the hart, two animals in the deer family, they had a different set of laws than the cows, the sheep, and the goats, because the blood had to be brought to the temple. All right, those sacrificial animals had to be brought to the temple. But now within the places you live in, if you eat that animal, In the ancient times, only those people that were clean could eat those animals because the blood was taken to Yahweh for sacrifices. But when we get into Jerusalem, he's saying now the clean people and the unclean people can eat of the animals that you're going to be killing and eating within the gates of your cities, because the blood was no longer being brought to Jerusalem as sacrifice to Yahweh.
Only ye shall not eat the blood, ye shall pour it upon the earth as water. Thou mayest not eat within thy gates the tithe of thy corn, or of thy wine, or of thy oil, or the firstling of thy herds, or of thy flock, nor any of thy vows which thou vowest, nor thy freewill offerings, or heave offering of thy hands. But thou must eat them before Yahweh thy Elohim in the place which Yahweh thy Elohim shall choose. Thou and thy son and thy daughter and thy manservant and thy maidservant and the Levite that is within thy gates, that thou shalt rejoice before Yahweh thy Elohim in all that thou puttest thy hands unto.
So the rejoice is talking about the feast days, which we're in right now.
Take heed to thyself that thou forsake not the Levite as long as thou livest upon the earth.
Now that don't mean that Levite out there doing all kinds of voodoo and doing all kinds of magic and say, hey, can I come and stay in your house? Like, nah, I'm cool, bro. But the Levites that try and do their job as Levites, you're supposed to help them, give to them, don't forsake them. So the Most High that has told us we can never forsake the Levites. Go ahead.
When Yahweh thy Elohim shall enlarge thy border, as he has promised thee, and thou shalt say, I will eat flesh, because thy soul longest to eat flesh, that thou mayest eat flesh, whatsoever thy soul lusteth after.
So Yahweh has commanded us that we can eat flesh. He has told us we can eat the flesh of the animals.
If the place which Yahweh thy Elohim has chosen to put his name, there be too far from thee, that thou mayest kill of thy herd and of thy flock, which Yahweh has given thee, as I commanded thee, and thou shalt eat in thy gates whatsoever thy soul lusteth after, even as the roebuck and the hart is eaten, so thou shalt eat them. The unclean and the clean shall eat of them alike.
So the unclean and the clean can eat of the animals. The unclean and the clean can eat of these different animals. Meaning that the person that's unclean and the person that's clean can eat of these animals with no distinction.
Only be sure that thou eat not the blood, for the blood is the life, and thou mayest not eat the life with the flesh.
So Yahweh tells us we can eat the animal, but don't eat the blood. He makes that very plain. You can eat the animal, but don't eat the blood. Because if we couldn't eat the flesh, he would say don't eat the flesh. But he's telling you you can eat the flesh, just don't eat the blood.
Thou shalt not eat it. Thou shalt pour it upon the earth as water. Thou shalt not eat it, that it may go well with thee, and with thy children after thee, when thou shalt do that which is right in the sight of Yahweh. Only thy holy things which thou hast, and thy vows, thou shalt take, and go unto the place which Yahweh shall choose. And thou shalt Offer thy burnt offerings, the flesh and the blood, upon the altar of Yahweh thy Elohim, and the blood of thy sacrifices shall be poured out upon the altar of Yahweh thy Elohim, and thou shalt eat the flesh. Observe and hear all these words which I command thee, that it may go well with thee and with thy children after thee forever, when thou doest that which is good and right in the sight of Yahweh thy Elohim. When Yahweh thy Elohim shall cut down the nations from before thee, and whither thou goest to possess them, thou shalt succeed them, and dwelleth in their land. Take heed to thyself, that thou beest not snared by following them, after that which they be destroyed from before thee, and that thou inquire not after their gods, saying, how do these nations serve their gods? Even so will I do likewise.
So Yahweh is saying, don't try to blend the ways that the Gentiles worship their God, and now you're going to try to worship Yahweh that same way. You're not supposed to be trying to blend stuff together. They're supposed to be worshiping Yahweh the way that he said to be worshipped. All right, verse 31.
Thou shalt not do so unto Yahweh thy Elohim, for every abomination to Yahweh which he hateth have they done unto their gods. For even their sons and their daughters they have burnt in the fire to their gods. What thing soever I command thee, what thing soever I command you, observe to do it. Thou shalt not add thereto, nor diminish from it. Deuteronomy 13. If there arise among you a prophet or a dreamer of dreams, and giveth thee a sign or a wonder, and the sign...
Now, the main people that came doing this was Muhammad. Because after Yahweh Shai got set up, the Catholics didn't come saying, oh, we the prophets, listen to us. They just switched the understanding of the Bible. Muhammad was the one that came later saying, follow this way. God gave him a sign. He said Allah gave him a sign or a wonder.
And the sign of wonder come to pass, whereof he spake unto thee, saying, let us go after other gods, which thou hast not known, and let us serve them.
So he said, let's go after Allah. He didn't say, let's go serve Yahweh, the God of Israel. He said, let's go serve Allah, the God of Ishmael. And he turned on Moses. He turned on the Torah. He turned on all the commandments. So you have to understand these things so they get registered in your spirit. So when people come up to you and talk this wickedness to you, you have a spiritual defense of how to stand for the word of Yahweh.
Thou shalt not hearken unto the words of that prophet, or that dreamer of dreams, for Yahweh Elohim proved you to know whether ye love Yahweh Elohim with all your heart and with all your soul.
So we're not supposed to be walking after what these guys come saying. Yahweh told them to write another book and to do these other things. We're supposed to only serve Yahweh, not follow no other religions that come with no other book. The Quran, Book of Enoch, Book of Jubilees, Book of Jasher. 2,000 years later, and people saying that these are the real books, but they didn't have the record of them to use them righteously. You see? So the Torah tells us everything we need to learn, what we need to do to please Yahweh.
Ye shall walk after Yahweh Elohim and fear him, and keep his commandments and obey his voice. And ye shall serve him and cleave unto him. And that prophet or that dreamer of dreams shall be put to death, because he has spoken to turn you away from the Elohim of your power, which brought you out of the land of Egypt and redeemed you out of the house of bondage, to thrust ye out of the way which Yahweh thy Elohim command thee to walk in. So shalt thou put the evil away from the midst of thee. If thy brothers, the son of thy mother, or thy son, or thy daughter, or the wife of thy bosom, or thy friend, which is thy own soul, entice thee secretly, saying, Let us go and serve other gods, which thou hast not known, thou nor our fathers, namely of the gods of the people which are round about you. 9.
Now, wasn't the Arabs round about us? Weren't the Arabs living among us, around us? Didn't Muhammad come say, hey, I got this revelation from God, and he told me, y'all got to follow me now? Ain't that what he said? Didn't they put us in captivity? Didn't the Catholics come saying, hey, worship this God? Didn't Antiochus Epiphanes come and say, worship me, worship the gods of the Greeks? Didn't the Romans come and say, hey, worship the Roman gods? And some of our people turned their back on Yahweh, worship these gods.
Namely of the gods of the people which are round about you. Nigh unto thee, or far off from thee.
So Yahweh says no matter where they are, far or near. How many times have you heard Yahweh say in this book, don't follow after other gods? Several. So that means it's very important that we don't serve. That means don't serve other gods, whether it's from the Hindus far away, or from the Syrians that live a little bit north, or from the Hamites that live a little bit to the south of us. He's saying don't worship these other gods, period. That's very clear and understandable, right? So worship and obey and submit only to Yahweh.
Far off from thee, from the one end of the earth even unto the other end of the earth. Thou shalt not consent unto him, nor hearken unto him, neither shall thy eye pity him, neither shall thy spare, neither shall thy conceal him. But thou shalt surely kill him. Thy hand shall be the first upon him to put him to death, and afterwards the hand of all the people. And thou shalt stone him with stones that he die, because he has sought to thrust thee away from Yahweh thy Elohim, which brought thee out of the land of Egypt from the house of bondage. And all Yasharahla shall hear and fear, and shall do no more any such wickedness as this is among you. If thou shalt hear say in one of thy cities, which Yahweh thy Elohim has given thee to dwell there, saying, certain men, the children of Belial, are going out from among you, and have withdrawn the inhabitants of their city, saying, let us go and serve other gods which ye have not known. Then shalt thou inquire, and make search, and ask diligently, and behold, if it be true, and the thing certain that such abomination is wrought among you, thou shalt surely smite the inhabitants of that city with the edge of the sword, destroying it utterly, and all that is therein, and the cattle thereof with the edge of the sword. And thou shalt gather all the spoil of it into the midst of the streets thereof, and shalt burn it with fire, and the city, and all the spoil thereof, every whit for Yahweh thy Elohim, and it shall be as a heap forever, and it shall not be built again. And there shall cleave none of the cursed thing to thy hand, that Yahweh may turn from the filthiness, the fierceness of his anger, and show thee mercy, and have compassion upon thee, and multiply thee as he has sworn unto thy fathers. When thou shalt hearken to the voice of Yahweh thy Elohim, to keep all his commandments which I command thee this day, to do that which is right in the eyes of Yahweh thy Elohim. Deuteronomy 14. Ye are the children of Yahweh your Elohim. Ye shall not cut yourselves, nor make any baldness between your eyes for the dead. For thou art an holy people unto Yahweh thy Elohim. The Elohim has chosen thee to be a peculiar people unto himself, above all the nations that are upon the earth. Thou shalt not eat any abominable thing. These are the beasts which ye shall eat, the ox, the sheep, and the goat, the hart, and the roebuck, and the fallow deer, and the wild goat, and the pygon, and the wild ox, and the chonmos, and every beast that parteth the hoof and that cleaveth, and every beast that parteth the hoof and cleaveth the cliff into the two claws, and cheweth the cud among the beasts that ye shall eat. Nevertheless, these ye shall not eat of them that cheweth the cud, or of them that divideth the cloven hoof, as the camel, and the hart, and the hare, and the coney. They chew the cud, but divide not the hoof. Therefore they are unclean unto you. And the swine, because it divideth the hoof, yet cheweth not the cud, it is unclean unto you. Ye shall not eat of their flesh, nor touch their dead carcass. These ye shall eat of all that are in the waters. All that have fins and scales shall ye eat. And whatsoever has not fins and scales, ye may not eat, for it is unclean unto you. And all clean birds ye shall eat. But these are they of which ye shall not eat: the eagle, and the ostrich, and the osprey, and the gale, and the kite, and the vulture after his kind, and every raven after his kind, and the owl, and the nighthawk, and the cuckoo, and the hawk after his kind, and the little owl, and the great owl, and the swan, and the pelican, and the gyre eagle, and the cormorant, and the stork, and the heron after her kind, and the lapwing, and the bat, and every creeping thing that flies is unclean unto you. They shall not be eaten. And of all clean fowls ye may eat. Ye shall not eat of...
Okay, so of the birds, those that are raptors, and birds of prey, and waterfowls, right? The birds that go out like looking to attack their food. Those birds that regularly feed upon the dead animals, and those birds that live in the waters, like the ducks, storks, the herons, and then those birds that just ain't really a bird, like a bat or whatever. So those are the winged fowls. But the chicken, the turkey, the grouse, the robin, all right, the pigeon, the dove, the quail, the pheasant, all of these are the animals that we can eat of the birds. In the waters, it has to have fins and scales to eat it. If it doesn't have fins and scales, we can't eat it. Like the lobster or shellfish, like crabs, shrimp, clams, oysters, mussels, we can't eat those. Squid, octopus, we can't eat that. Of the land animals, the cow, the goat, the sheep, the deer, the buffalo, the bison, the moose, the caribou, the sheep, these are the animals that we can eat. Those animals that have a split hoof, where the foot splits in two pieces, and then they have two little pieces in the back of the bottom of their leg, near their foot, and then they have a 4-chamber grass usually, and then they bring the grass back up, they chew it again. So those are the different animals that we can eat, all right? So now we go on to other animals, the certain conditions of animals that we can't eat.
And of all clean fowls ye may eat, and ye shall not eat of anything that dieth of itself.
So all clean fowl, meaning any type of animal that's not on that list, we can eat it. So anything that just dies of itself, we see something dies of natural causes, we can't eat it.
Thou shalt give it unto the stranger that is within thy gates.
The Gentiles that live among us, we can give it to them. They can eat it, but we can't.
That he may eat it, or thou mayest sell it unto an alien, for thou art an holy people unto Yahweh thy Elohim. Thou shalt not seeth a kid in his mother's milk.
So they said we can sell it to the alien, which is the foreigners that live among us. All right? You can't boil a baby goat in his mother's milk. Everybody understand that? Does everybody understand that? You can't take a baby goat and boil it in his mother's milk. Everybody understand that? If you have a baby goat, you can't take it and cook it in his mother's milk. You understand that? That's it. That's all it means. Whether the milk has been made into like a yogurt or just plain milk, you can't boil it or boil it in his mother's milk.
Thou shalt truly tithe all the increase of thy seed, that the field bringeth forth year by year.
So 10% of what you increase from your crops, your animals, you have to give unto Yahweh. But this one is talking about in the form of eating it. Go ahead.
And thou shalt eat before Yahweh thy Elohim in the place which he shall choose to place his name there, the tithe of thy corn and thy wine and of thy oil and the firstlings of thy herds and of thy flocks, that thou mayest learn to fear Yahweh thy Elohim always.
So this is talking about the tithe that you keep for yourself of everything that you grew. And this is a tithe that they don't tell you about in religious institutions. The tithe of your family. The tithe that you pay yourself to celebrate the feast days.
And if the way be too long for thee, so that thou art not able to carry it, and if the place be too far from thee, which Yahweh thy Elohim shall choose to set his name there, when Yahweh thy Elohim has blessed thee, then shalt thou turn it into money, and bind up the money in thy hand, and shall go unto the place which Yahweh thy Elohim shall choose, and thou shalt bestow that money for whatsoever thy soul lusteth, oxen or sheep, or for wine, or for strong drink, or for whatsoever thy soul desireth. And thou shalt eat there before Yahweh thy Elohim, and thou shalt rejoice thou and thy household, and the Levite that was within thy gates.
So when you have this fast, this tenth, you take that tenth and you take it to buy stuff that you want if you can't take your animals there because it's too far. So what you used to have to do was take the food, take it and then sell it. And then that money that you make, you would take it to Jerusalem for the feast day.
And the Levite that was within thy gates, thou shalt not forsake him, for he has no part nor inheritance with thee. At the end of 3 years thou shalt bring forth all tithe of thy increase the same year, and shall lay it up within thy gates. And the Levite, because he has no part nor inheritance with thee, and the stranger, and the fatherless, and the widow, which are within thy gates, shall come and shall eat and be satisfied, that Yahweh thy Elohim may bless thee in all the work of thy hand, which thou doest.
Okay. So remember the bless every 3 years. Or at the end of 3 years, which means the third agricultural harvest. You take that harvest and you store it up within your own cities, and then you share that with the Levite. So we're supposed to have a Levite that lives among us. All right? The Levite. And then of course, you got the stranger that lived within you also, which was a person of a different nation. The fatherless, which is the person whose father died. And then you have the widow, which was the woman whose husband died and she didn't remarry. So we had to look out for these people in our Israelite societies. So chapter 15.
At the end of every 7 years, thou shalt make a release. And this is the manner of the release. Every creditor that lendeth out unto his neighbor shall release it. He shall not extract it of his neighbor. Exact it of his neighbor or of his brother, because it is called the Lord's release.
So Yahweh's release. So every 7 years, if you owe somebody money, every 7 years, the money you owe, you didn't owe them anymore. All right?
Of a foreigner that mayest all right. Of a foreigner thou mayest exact it again, but that which is thine with thy brother, thy hand shall release. Say when there shall be no poor among you, for Yahweh shall greatly bless thee in the land which Yahweh thy Elohim giveth thee for inheritance, to possess it. Only if thou carefully hearken unto the voice of Yahweh thy Elohim, to observe to do all these commandments which I command you this day. For Yahweh thy Elohim bless thee, as he has promised thee, and thou shalt lend unto many nations, but thou shalt not borrow. And thou shalt reign over many nations, but thou shalt not reign over, but they shall not reign over thee.
So when we don't have any poor people anymore, that's when we don't have to do the year of release anymore. So long as we have poor people, we have to do the year of release. Which means we have to let their debts go free. But once we get set up in our kingdom, we're going to have to pay people back, no matter if it's the 7th year or not. Because that's where we're going to get set back up and everybody's going to be well off. The Gentiles are going to be poor in our land, not us.
If there be among you a poor man of one of thy brethren, wherein any of thy gates, in thy land which Yahweh thy Elohim giveth thee, thou shalt not harden thy heart, nor shut thy hand from thy poor brethren, from thy poor brother, but thou shalt open thy hand wide unto him, and shall surely lend unto him sufficient for his need, in that which he wanted.
So you had to give to the poor people when they had a need. You had to help them with their need. Lend money to them. And then say you just got to give. You lend it to him, and he will pay you back. Because if they didn't pay you the money back, they could go to jail. They could be sold off for not paying their debt. Because not paying your debt to your Israelite brother was like a crime. Because you said, you lied, you broke your word. So they could sell you off to somebody else who would pay your debt, and then you'd have to work that debt off with that person that you were sold to.
Beware that there be not a thought in thy wicked heart, saying, the 7th year, the year of release, is at hand, and thy eye be evil against thy poor brother, and thou givest him naught. He cry unto Yahweh against thee, and it be sin unto thee. Thou shalt not surely give him.
Thou shalt give surely.
Thou shalt surely give him, and thy heart shall not be grieved when thou givest unto him, because that for this thing Yahweh thy Elohim shall bless thee in all thy works, and in all that thou puttest thy hand unto.
So he said, when you help that poor man, don't do it with an attitude. Do it with love and with respect, not begrudgingly letting it grieve your heart. So when you help somebody, he's saying, help that person, but don't let it be a grief to you. Don't let it be stressful or you doing it by force, because Yahweh's going to bless you for what you're doing for that poor person.
For the poor shall never cease out of the land. Therefore I command thee, saying, thou shalt open thy hand wide unto thy brother, to thy poor, and to thy needy in thy land. And if thy brethren, an Hebrew man or a Hebrew woman, be sold unto thee, and serve thee 6 years, then in the 7th year thou shalt let him go free from thee.
So we could have a Hebrew servant that would serve us for 6 years. And in the 7th year, that would be free. So Hebrews could serve other Hebrews, like a work contract or a contract employee.
And when thou sendest him out free from thee, thou shalt not let him go away empty. Thou shalt furnish him liberally out of thy flock, and out of thy floor, and out of thy winepress. Of that wherewith Yahweh thy Elohim has blessed thee, thou shalt give unto him.
So when that servant goes out free in the 7th year, you got to bless him the same way that Yahweh has blessed you.
And thou shalt remember that thou was a bondsman in the land of Egypt, and Yahweh thy Elohim redeemed thee. Therefore I command thee this thing today. And it shall be, if he say unto thee, I will not go away from thee, because he loveth thee in thy house, because he is well with thee, then thou shalt take an awl, and thrust it through his ear unto the door, and he shall be thy servant forever. And also unto thy maidservant thou shalt do likewise.
So the Israelite, after the 7 years is up, he says, no, I want to keep serving you. So you take a sharp metal instrument and you would poke it through their ear on the door frame of the house of the master to symbolize he's attaching himself to his master's house. So there's nothing wrong with somebody having, remember this is a Hebrew. So you had Hebrew servants that said, man, I'm going to work for you forever. Which means you all weren't equal. You was the master and he was the servant. Or she was the servant and the man was the master. So, but you had to show respect and dignity to your Hebrew servants. You couldn't treat them the same as your Gentile servant. But there was nothing shameful about being a servant to another man.
It shall not seem hard unto thee, when thou sendest him away free from thee, for he has been worth a double hired servant to thee.
So that shows that they knew that the Hebrew servants were on a different level than the Gentile servants, the Gentile workers.
And serving thee 6 years, and Yahweh thy Elohim shall bless thee in all that thou doest.
And that's what happened in slavery. The Israelite workers they were bringing from different countries for different jobs were working better than the Gentile workers that came from different places. All right? So you have to give of your servant when he leaves from working for you. You couldn't just send him out there. You had to give him, in other words, Yahweh commanded that you give him a severance when you released him in that 7th year.
All the firstling males that come out of the herd and of thy flock, thou shalt sanctify unto Yahweh thy Elohim. Thou shalt do no work with the firstling of thy bullock, nor shear the firstling of thy sheep. Thou shalt eat it before Yahweh thy Elohim year by year in the place which Yahweh shall choose, thou and thy household. And if there be any blemish therein, as it be lame or blind, or have any ill blemish, thou shalt not sacrifice it unto Yahweh thy Elohim. Thou shalt eat it within thy gates. The unclean and the clean person shall eat it alike, as the roebuck and as the hart. Only thou shalt not eat the blood thereof. Thou shalt pour it upon the ground as water. Deuteronomy 16.
Right, so he says that the clean and clean person can eat this animal, all right, that you're supposed to use to rejoice before Yahweh. But he says again, you cannot eat the blood. You have to pour the blood on the ground as water. So we've read 15 chapters of the book of Deuteronomy. This is the 6th day. So we'll come back in the morning and afternoon of the first day of the week. Well, they get started at 9. So we got to come back later on, and we're going to read the Torah more from Deuteronomy chapter 16 to Deuteronomy chapter 34. So we read 15 chapters. So let's thank Yahweh for that. So let's all thank Yahweh for that. All right, we read 15 chapters, right? And so we gave understanding of the different chapters. And it didn't take long. Right? You got a better understanding, and now we can sit back and we can read them with more understanding. And now you can explain it to your relatives, to your friends, to your family, all right, to your parents, all right? And let them see how this is what Yahweh said, and this is what it means. This is a very, these are basic guidelines that Yahweh has given us that he expects us to walk in. These aren't things that are like complicated or things that are, uncertain. I mean, it's very clear. All right, it's very clear. These are the things that he expects us to do. So every man is responsible for his own soul's salvation. Once you hear it, you're responsible for it. So as the Masharah Yasharahla, office of Torah, it's the duty of the Masharah Yasharahla, office of Torah, to make sure that Israel understands the Torah. And you can speak.
Understanding of the Torah, and also learning how to be obedient to the Torah. Doing that which the Most High commands us to do. Not wavering. Not compromising. We're in this condition because of our disobedience to the commandments, plain and simple. So for us to have an opportunity or a chance of salvation, we have to demonstrate a higher level of obedience back to the commandments through our anointed Savior, Yahweh Shai Mashiach. We can't make excuses, because excuses will not get us into the kingdom. Halakha, meaning our walk, has to demonstrate a purpose and a reverence of the Most High's word. And you can only demonstrate that reverence by being obedient to what he commands us to do. So, be encouraged, all right? This isn't the time to become waverly or not sure or fearful. Only thing we're supposed to fear is the word of the Most High. And then if you fear the word of the Most High, then you should have the conviction to want to do what the word tells us to do, verbatim.
All right, so again, these are definitive, man. When a Masharah Yasharahla, office of Torah, comes forth with the Torah, it's coming from a national government perspective. There has to be an authoritative posture for what is right and what is wrong in the eyes of the Most High. Yahweh is not the author of confusion. So if you have confusion, it gets worked out by being firm on what something is. So we're firm on what we're saying about the Torah. You may have other elders or other officers that aren't firm or sure about the Torah. And that's why it's not their job. That's why it's the job of the Masharah Yasharahla office of Torah, which was nurtured under Masharah Yasharahla, to understand the seriousness and the importance of being dedicated to obedience to the laws and the commandments, obedience to Torah, obedience to Torah, obedience to the Dawah, obedience to Hamashiach and his steps, his path that he laid down before us. So this is something that we have to do. Everybody understand that? Everybody understand that? Does everybody understand that? Does everybody understand that? All right, so you got a responsibility to read the Torah and to walk in the Torah. Because these chapters we read now, is anybody didn't understand what we read? Wasn't it all pretty clear? If it wasn't clear, what wasn't clear? All right? The animals we can and can't eat was clear. Don't worship other gods was especially clear. Don't give your sons, don't let your son marry heathens, worshiping other gods, that was clear. All right? Tomorrow we can get into several other laws. The Shema was very clear. Yahweh, our power, Yahweh is one. That was very clear, very beautiful. You know, basic. That's the basic credo for all Israelites, and it's the first. It's the greatest commandment. All right, it's the greatest commandment. So, guess we can retire from the third floor. And maybe we can go to the first floor and take a break, and then we can send some prayers up before we eat the late night feast meal, even though we finished breakfast a little while ago. That's like 6 something, right? We're not breakfast, but whatever meal that was we had, where we finished at 6 something, right? Wasn't that like 6 something? But I asked what time was it, 6 something. All right, so that's it. And again, just give some closing words one last time, and we'll be finished.
So, in closing, we want brothers and sisters to be encouraged in keeping the Feast of Tabernacles. We want brothers and sisters to be encouraged in keeping all the commandments of the Most High. And we want brothers and sisters to do their part to become a better part of the mechanism that runs our nation. Through Masharah Yasharahla, through Masharah Yasharahla. You know, this is a nation. So all camps, all congregations, all schools, all communities need to come together. No matter where you're at, where you're located at, we need to form a working relationship in these last days. Because the last days are surely upon us as we speak. But even in the midst of these last days, we can still be obedient to the Most High like we're doing today. In the start of the 6th day, no. What we in there? 7th. In the start of the 7th day of the Feast of Tabernacles. All right? You see us in the booth, okay? You see the brothers and sisters around us, and you see us going over the law on this Shabbat. So again, I appreciate brothers and sisters taking the time to watch this broadcast. Stay encouraged, and stay in the faith through Yahushua Mashiach. I say, Kwam Yashala, Hallelujah.